This week's listener of the week is ABC the Closer. ABC the Closer, thank you so much for leaving us a 5-star review. And for those of you listening, if you leave us a 5-star review below, you might be next week's listener of the week. Week. I am very excited for our guest this week, Andrew Bermudez. Andrew is a former commercial real estate broker and now is the CEO and founder of Digsy. Now, before I even thank him for being on the show or let him speak, a little context. My husband and I, Josh, were in a long-distance relationship a decade ago. And Josh lived 4 hours away in the mountains, and I would be driving up and down from Denver to the mountains, and I would go into YouTube, and I would type in commercial real estate content. And Andrew was the only person who came up literally a decade ago. So for context, this is really exciting because Andrew has become a friend ever since, but he's a really impressive player in the industry. Andrew, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you, Aviva. It's
great to see you.
It's a lot of fun banter going back and forth over iMessage on our iPhones, talking about whole fish and just sending each other memes.
And family and the crazy pursuit here in the world of commercial real estate. So will you tell the listeners a bit about Digsy, who you are, what Digsy is, and the market you serve?
Sure. Well, thanks again for having me. My name is Andrew Bermudez. I am a former commercial real estate broker. I was a partner at Lee & Associates for 13 years, started in 99, left in 2012. After Lee & Associates, the only reason I left, I was top 5 of the top 10. I had a great team. The only reason I left was because I was a self-taught programmer, and that's what made me successful. So I would code stuff, and I used to buy keywords in the early, when Google had just been up and coming for commercial real estate for literally pennies. Now you try to buy the word office space $22 a click. So I did that. That made me successful. But because I started in the late 90s, the .com, a lot of my clients were, software companies, technology companies. Some of them had sold their companies and become angel investors or venture capitalists. Long story short, what happened is I loved being around these guys. So they became friends, they became mentors, and they would always sit there and dude, you're not a commercial real estate guy. You're a tech guy that isn't commercial real estate. You should start something. And I didn't want to. I was making a lot of money at Lee, and I was in a good place, had a great team. Long story short, what happened was right around the time I turned 30, I realized, hey, I don't spend my money. All I've got is my house payment, and I've got my car, which is almost paid off. If I'm going to do anything, the time is now. Wasn't married, didn't have kids. Left. The 2 first projects that I started failed. And then 8 years ago, we started Digsy, and that's gone through so many pivots, but we're over 100 people now. We're in the millions of dollars of revenue. It's fantastic. It's been a journey. I would not recommend people starting their own business unless the business already established. If if the commercial real estate brokerage works, then you can just build your own, but don't go out and try to build something like that. No entrepreneur wants to hear that, but I'll tell you, I've got a lot of scar tissue and blood, sweat, and tears that I've had to endure to get to the point where I am.
So explain to the listeners what Digsy is as if they're a third grader.
Digsy is a website, right? It's a platform that makes it easy for commercial real estate professionals, so brokers, managing directors, lenders, property owners, to get the software tools and also get services to help them run and grow their business. One thing that we offer is we have a free listing platform. You can list properties for sale or for lease, office, industrial, retail, healthcare, multifamily. So that's a freebie product. Some people can upgrade to embed their listings on their website or all the listings on their website. There's lead generation tools. And then we also offer talent. So affordable talent, $15 an hour. So we call them virtual assistants because it's easy for people to understand. But basically what we do is we pair you up with one of our team members here at Digsy, depending on what you want. So a lot of people will use them for, calling people who are clicking on your listings to see if they want to buy the building, if they want to lease the building, or if they've got an asset they want to sell or lease. So basically lead generation, also emailing and sending messages on social networks when it makes sense, messaging people on LinkedIn or messaging retailers on Instagram. Facebook, which tend to be much more prone to respond versus emailing them or calling them. It's interesting in the
Wow.
retail world. The second part is marketing and graphics, and this is brokerages or the individual agent teams will sign up for it. And those are creating brochures, offering memorandums, flyers using Adobe InDesign or other tools like Build Out or a combination of that. Creating the images to market a property or a deal close in social media, animating the listing so it pops when people are viewing it, posting those into social media channels, updating the marketing campaigns, creating content, increasing the number of followers and connections that you have so you have more visibility. Email marketing is easy, just make it look pretty and send it out. And then the third area is things that free up your time, help you get more things done that help you focus on higher revenue producing activities. So think email management, clearing out the junk, responding to listing inquiries, updating the prospect report for the seller or the lessor. Calendar management, so booking appointments, confirming appointments, saying, "Hey, Aviva, tomorrow every appointment's confirmed except your 11 o'clock. The guy's not, emailing me back or calling me back or texting me back." Also, updating the listings across the listing services, running searches on the listing services, calling the brokers to verify availability, operating expenses, touring instructions, putting the tour packet together for you, transaction management, database management, so cleaning up the CRM, finding email addresses, updating what buildings have traded hands, finding who's behind the trust of the LLC, like, doing all that detective work and finding the email address and the name, and then calling to verify. It kind of runs a gamut on executive assistant. So like pretty much it's anything from like, drafting LOIs, leases, PSAs, or even commission vouchers, but it's not limited to all those things because everybody operates differently.
That's it? That's all you guys do?
Well, it's just 2 lines, right? It's like, hey, here are the marketing tools. There's a free version, there's a paid version, and here's what else we can help you out with. So it's pretty simple, but then those break down into those 3 pillars that I just shared.
No, it's unreal. I'm very passionate about commercial real estate, technology, and the future of commercial real estate. If you had a crystal ball, what would 5 or 10 years down the line look like for a commercial real estate broker, from getting the lead, marketing the lead, and closing the deal?
Yeah, so I don't think that the broker's ever going to go away, especially in commercial real estate. The reason why is how often, if you have 100 people, there might be 1 or 2 business owners in there, and those business owners can employ anywhere between 5 to hundreds of people, right? And there's one decision to be made. Each one of those 100 people can buy a house, but only 1 or 2 of those people own a business and are either going to buy a building or lease a building or whatever. So the market tends to be a lot smaller. Also, when they're leasing buildings or buying buildings, they're only doing this, once every, depending on the growth pattern, but let's just say 1 every 5 years or 3 years, et cetera. So it's not like you live in a house and you maybe buy one or you buy a couple of them, et cetera. You don't familiarize, and the lease terms are confusing unless you're the PSA comments are confusing. There's just a lot that goes into it. So it's a lot more like investment banking. So you really do need somebody who understands this, because it's not like, hey, here's the house, do your home inspection, et cetera. It's like, no, did you think about negotiating, that you don't have to take care of the roof in the triple nets, or did you think about the operating expense caps, things like that. So I don't think the broker's going to go away. The one thing that I think that I'm seeing is there's a lot of potential with AI. And there's a lot of potential with systems talking to each other. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of the companies in commercial real estate are private, so they won't open up what's called an API, something that this data in this listing service or this property ownership database can talk to you, whatever. So that's what's missing. And I don't think that will ever go away. But there are ways where I believe can make a broker a lot more productive. For example, something that we've been toying around here, just discussing and just swirling my head, is right now we have virtual assistants that manage a broker's email. That's the biggest complaint we get from brokers, is how much email they get, and then things fall through the cracks and they don't even know how to delegate email. So we have a pretty good program where we just showed hey, here's the best way to do it, and they're like, they just start nodding because they're like, that makes sense. When a listing inquiry comes through, somebody has to go in and respond, attach a brochure, put all the pricing, OpEx, whatever else they're talking about, send it out, and then update the prospect report for the owner, et cetera. That's pretty easy language for a large language model to grab that information, determine what it needs. If this, then that, then it can reply, and then you can connect it to update the prospect reports, freeing up a lot of time. A lot of data entry goes into commercial real estate and moving data from one side to the other, right? If you do an export from this property database, but then you want to capture all you have this other property ownership database, and you want to kind of blend them into two and kind of like see, okay, what's the truth, right?
Yeah.
That's not really easy. That can be done in a combination not only with a data warehouse technology, a type of technology similar to a data warehouse. So that basically you're merging all the data and normalizing it. So you have one view and go, oh, here are the properties from this database that aren't here, or hey, this person, same property but different contacts, let's merge them together. And with a combination of a little bit of AI, not too much, you can also start cleaning up that data and giving you even more information, right? Like, for example, depending on the market, like calling on, exporting all that data, merging it, and then the system just telling you, hey, based on the low maturities, here are the people that I would focus on, rather than the broker having to think about like having even that idea, like, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're a broker, the CMBS data is public, right? So you want to call on the people that are going to have a reset, especially jumping from like 3-4% to 8 or 9. So you kind of want to have those things. So there's a lot of advantages. The only problem though is in commercial real estate, with the exception of you and me and a few others that we know from TikTok or Twitter, where we spend a lot of time, Aviva, is most brokers are they're not techie, right? And they can do email, they can do calendar, they can do Microsoft Word, but also their time doesn't allow them to think about this stuff or learn this stuff. So whatever solution comes through, it has to be semi-automated, or it has to do the work for the broker to not have to think, and it has to be really easy user interfaces. That's the reason we don't see a lot of agents using ChatGPT, and the ones that say they do are very few, very, very few. They're like bottom of the barrel. You're scraping just a little bit of like dust off the bottom of the cup. So, because I mean, you have this interface and it's just a box and you have to enter text. Like, how does a broker know what to enter? So we have a long way to go.
I am completely obsessed with that, and I have built a business based on those types of brokers. Thank you, guys. Because it is so overwhelming how opportunistic the internet is in regards to commercial real estate, and then so underwhelming how brokers utilize it. And, I have found the ways that work for me, and I've even gotten a little comfortable. And now I've been thinking to myself recently, like, okay, I need to keep pushing it. Like, I pay for LoopNet ads. Like, those don't really work. How could I reallocate that budget into something where, yeah, I might have to test it for 6 months, but generally with commercial, you only need a lead or two to give yourself a use case and pay yourself back and learn and test and push further. So
yeah,
it's really opportunistic.
It really is. And you got to keep in mind though, like a lot of people who join commercial real estate tend to be former athletes. They're not usually the people that are like played a lot of video games. They're not really the people that spend a ton of time on Facebook or a ton of time on Twitter, etc. And you need that type of person to go there. So it's very rare that you find somebody who's like competition and discipline driven that also does these things, which say the opposite. If you're playing video games, you're some people may consider that you're not disciplined or you're wasting time or you're not learning. But it's really hard to find that combination of competitiveness, even though video games are competitive, but competitiveness, and at the same time, like if you're more on the nerdy side, to kind of merge those two things, which like people like you, it's very unique, and people like me, it's very unique, but it's very hard to meet people cut from the same thread.
Oh, hey, that's why I like the internet, because I couldn't find any of those people in my local community, in my local brokerage community, who spoke the same language as me, which is a good thing when it comes to competition. But when it came to community, I had to go online to find people like yourself who saw the opportunity and are willing to talk about it. Because, obviously commercial real estate's been super gatekept, and with we don't have to gatekeep. Obviously, you made a whole company revolving around deploying your strategies, and it works. So
Question
it's
for
impressive.
you, like, what do you think will be, like, what opportunities do you see technology-wise in like 5 years for the CRE community?
Sure. I mean, this goes into my next question for you. So I'm going to answer your question with a question. We all use CoStar. CoStar is the commercial MLS, if you will. CoStar LoopNet is it's what brokers use to find properties. I have found this year, 2024, with the Homes.com acquisition of CoStar, they've just taken their eye off the ball in commercial real estate. They are head down, ready to take over residential. And in my opinion, we're getting left out. To me, this creates an opportunity. There's a lot of things that CoStar doesn't provide that makes me pull my hair out. Let me give you an example. If I want to buy a house, I call up my realtor and she programs in my criteria, and every morning at 4 a.m., I get an email with all the houses that just hit the market within my criteria. And then I go shopping, I tell her which one I like, and then we go preview. That does not exist in commercial real estate.
Yeah.
CoStar is so gatekept, and I've been telling my CoStar people this for years. Oh, this would be so easy if I could just, and I have clients who ask me the same thing. Can't you do something where you create a search and then it comes to my inbox? And the answer is no.
Yeah.
There is so much friction in commercial real estate when it comes to taking a property and putting it in front of a prospect. I think the next 5 years, I hope the next 5 years gives us some way to solve that issue, because it's horrendous right now.
Mm-hmm.
And deals are missed because of all the friction. If that makes sense.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because it's like just getting a property listed online, everything from ordering the sign, the writers, calling the photographer, doing the brochure, the floor plans, all that stuff, getting it on all the listing services, getting it into the email marketing service to send it out, uploading the prospects to send it to, and then even, who has time to check every single alert every day of the new properties hitting the market and then forwarding it to a client, right?
Because commercial real estate buyers are so unique. And what I mean by that is, okay, you've got two types of buyers. You have your owner-user and you have your investor. It's not like residential where it's like, I need a house, or my lease is up, or my house is sold. We got to figure this out. Your investor, commercial real estate buyer, is sitting with dry powder, and they can sit and they can wait. Or your owner user, it's a little different. There's more of a need, but just the dynamic of buying is really different. I have found that I really only work on the listing side and the tenant side. That's really where I like to hang out, as tenant rep, and then listing, be it for sale or for lease, just because I like a little more motivation on behalf of my clients, because I've run around with buyers until I was blue in the face. And I love my buyers, but getting blue in the face does not put food on the table. So
yeah.
I'm interested to see. I think there's a huge market share and a huge opportunity for somebody to capture what CoStar is not providing us, and it will happen. It's just a matter of who, what, where, and when. Ready to shatter your glass ceiling while creating legacy and financial freedom? Head to my show notes for our free guide, How to Get Started in Commercial Real Estate.